Assalamualaikum, salam muhibah. Kita berjumpa dalam Inspirasi ViU dan masih mengambil semangat sempena sambutan Maulid. Kita cuba menggabungkan tema ini dengan mencontohi kepribadian Nabi SAW dan meletakkannya dia berlatar belakangkan perkembangan politik semasa. Kita umat Islam khususnya mula berpolemik, berpencak di pentas medsos masing-masing berkait tentang perkembangan politik semasa. Jadi untuk tujuan itu Inspirasi ViU mengambil inisiatif menggabungkan dua perspektif ini. Di satu pihak kita melihat tentang semangat sambutan Maulid, dia berlatar belakangkan perkembangan siasah semasa. Untuk tujuan perbincangan pada kali ini, kami bawakan pengetua Al-Hamra Integrated School, Encik Saudara Adam BOSNIA MOSTAR bersama. Assalamualaikum, Mr. Adam, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, how are you?
Yes, thank you for joining us. I mentioned earlier on that we embrace the spirit of Maulid, and at the same time, we also have the development in our political discord with the GE, general election coming up. So I suppose that will be our topic for today, and thank you for joining us. But before we move on, Mr. Adam, perhaps maybe you can introduce to us Al-Hamra Integrated School, please.
Okay, for those who don't know, Al-Hamra Integrated School is a school in Kota Damansara, near PJ. It's near Sunway Giza, near Tropicana. It's a huge building, probably like 50,000 square feet. We've got about 20 classrooms. It's right in the middle of the city.
Yeah,
Really strategic. This school was started 3 years ago, and it started basically because, you know, there's a need for an Islamic school. I mean, everybody will say, yeah, there's a need for an Islamic school, but I would say there's a need for a really good international class Islamic school. Because if you say Islamic school, then there's lots of Islamic schools. But if you're talking about an international standard Islamic school, then there's a few. Yeah, so that's basically what we do. We're doing Quran, Sunnah, and IGCSE. So basically students come in. You can come in as young as 7, as young as 5. We have kindergarten all the way up to level 12 or 11, yeah. That's when they graduate. At the same time, if they don't want to do that, if they don't want to do the IGCSE, we have SPM. So we have 2 streams going on at the same time. We do, yeah, as I mentioned before, it's also a tahfiz. We have a tahfiz program, and that runs every day for 2 hours. So at the end of what is the end result that we want? 16 years old, graduated, maybe he memorized at least 10 juz. He memorized hadith with the isnad, and he speaks Arabic, maybe as a second language, but he speaks it fluently. And he graduated with at least 7 credits in O levels. We try to make, our target is that everybody should leave with at least 7 Bs minimum. If not 3 As, 4 As, that's basically not that hard. It's not that
Your
hard.
students, where do they come from? Are they all from around Kota Damansara?
They all come from the Kota Damansara area, this catchment area, Subang Jaya, Tamantun. Some come from a bit like Shah Alam, a few. We do have a few foreigners because we do boarding as well.
I see.
People don't know that. We do boarding. But we have a small boarding program which is growing. It's for boys at the moment.
Okay.
We have people from Thailand. We have students from Thailand that especially came here for this. We have students from Yemen, Syria. Yes.
Right. So when you say that your boarding system is currently growing, does that mean you're looking for more boarding areas, placements?
Yes, before the pandemic, we had people from Uzbekistan, we had students from Brunei, we had quite a lot from Singapore.
Okay.
Because these countries, they're looking for a place to study the Quran and Sunnah in English.
Right.
I'm sure that there's lots of places to study Quran and Sunnah in Uzbekistan, and there's lots of places to study Quran and Sunnah, of course, in Singapore, but they're all in in that language, in either Malay, pure Malay, or in Brunei, of course, pure Malay as well.
Yeah.
So now this younger generation, they can barely speak Malay. I mean, I'm talking about Malay kids.
Yeah.
They became half white.
Yeah. All the urbanites. Yeah.
But I mean, their English is not so good, but their Malay is not so good either. But their Arabic is even worse. So
That's a good way of-
I don't know what language we're going to teach them in.
Yeah, that's
So
what we call
they're looking
global.
for a place. They're looking for a place, that's full English medium.
Yeah.
So our Quran, of course, the Quran is in Arabic, but the explanation
Yeah, exactly.
is in English. The Islamic studies, if we teach them, if we talk to them in Malay and they're Malay, they won't understand half. They only understand 20%.
Yeah.
And then they misunderstand. Yang ada yang tak faham, yang ada yang salah faham.
Okay.
Yang siapa yang salah faham lebih teruk, lebih bahaya kepada yang
Tak faham.
langsung tak faham.
Yeah, yeah.
Kalau langsung tak faham, tak apa. Dia boleh cakap saya tak faham. Tapi ada yang budak sekarang, dia tak cakap saya tak faham sebab ego. So dia cakap dia salah faham.
Okay.
So it becomes worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then it's so that parents are like concerned. So they're like, I think we should send this kid to, because the old Pondok type of,
right.
There's Pondok already, but these kids are not. They don't want to go there. They're not those kinds of kids.
Right.
They need like heavy interaction. They need they get bored easily. But this is everybody. This is like, the new generation.
Yeah. I think, Mr. Adam, this is the manifestations of a globalized world. I mentioned earlier whether we need to do this session in English or Malay. I mentioned to you, we can do it champurization. So we can campur, we can still understand each other. Now, moving on to the topic, I think that will be the backdrop, having Al-Hamra right in the vicinity of Damansara, Kota Damansara to be exact, trying to fulfill the need of the Ummah. And albeit with the setting, with the challenges that we have now, we are still in the spirit of celebrating Maulid. And at the same time also, we are just, general election is just around the corner. So maybe we should begin with highlighting the spirit of the Nubuwah when it comes to political discord, because at the moment you can see that on almost all social media platforms, it's either white or black. It's not about decisions made in the shades of gray. So I would give you that opportunity to maybe start from the point of celebrating Nubuwah, Mr. Adam.
Okay. Do you mean what do we do in Al-Hamra for that?
Yeah.
Particular thing?
It's your call, maybe.
Okay. I feel like when you designate a certain day or week to do something, then it becomes a tradition or a habit where it's only that week. And it turns into some sort of it turns into academia.
Yeah.
Maksudnya cinta Nabi dia jadi satu subjek. Kita dia belajar je. Lepas tu dia belajar dia buat apa? So bila kita ajar pasal cinta Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the pelajar ingat, okay, ni satu subjek je, macam sama macam maths, science, etc. Dalam in my understanding, apa kita boleh aplikasi itu maksudnya kita dah belajar. Maksudnya kalau kita seperti sekolah, seperti cikgu, kita ajar sesuatu, kalau pelajar tak boleh aplikasi dalam hidup, terus maksudnya dia tak belajar. Dan maksudnya kita tak ajar. Hafal dan belajar itu lain. Seorang boleh hafal, tapi adakah dia faham? Adakah dia faham apa dia hafal? Boleh dia aplikasi dalam hidup? So for me, yes, of course, this week is special. Yeah, we do talk about the seerah. But then I decided after that week and before that week also, I saw that they just disconnect. So for them, it's like, okay, how many wives did the Prophet ﷺ have? When was he born? When did he die? What kind of foods did he eat? What was his way of doing tahajjud? What was his way of doing zikr? What was his mindset, his personality? Was it positive? Was it negative? Was it pessimistic? How did he see things? And how can we use that? So if we just talk about it, for me, I've been in other schools as well. So if we just talk about it for that week, they after that week they forget, because then they'll go like still drinking from the left hand, still eating from the left hand instead of the right hand. A sunnah is something that you do every day. It's like every minute. It has to become a habit, where walking in the toilet is through the left with the left foot, coming out with the right foot. There's a door for entering. There's a door for going out of the toilet. There's a door for coming into your house. There's a door for coming into the masjid. There's a way of drinking. There's a way of doing everything. There's even a way of walking. People don't know that. There's like, you're not supposed to walk backwards. This is from shaitan. There's a way of sitting in Jummah. For example, not doing this, cracking your hands, fidgeting, playing with your socks, and putting your hands behind your back, like resting like this. So all these are from the sunnah. All these from the sunnah of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, because these are the things that he did and he recommended. Some of them are recommended and some of them are actually wajib. Just because it's a sunnah orang salah faham. Ini lagi satu perkataan salah faham. Sunnah ada sunnah maksudnya bukan semua boleh buat. Kalau tak boleh buat, tak apa. That's a different thing. Sunnah maksudnya cara Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam buat sesuatu. It's a way of something that he did. For example, the sunnah of him eating. So even the way he prayed, he prayed in a way, and now we emulate that way, not the way that your father did or my father did. So for me, what I do is we do a quiz after Zuhur. Every day after Zuhur, we have 30 minutes. And the kids, they're just sitting there, I saw them kicking each other, trying to kill each other, all rumbling around in the masjid. So now every Zuhur, and this is happening every day. Doesn't matter is Maulid week or non-week, through the whole week. We do a quiz. So we pick five versus five. Usually it's 5 girls versus, sometimes it's 5 girls versus 1 boy. Because there's one boy, he's exceptionally smart. He'll answer all the questions.
I see.
Sometimes it's 8 girls versus 8 boys, something like this.
All right.
And we do a quiz like we do like Jeopardy in America, where we give the topic. For the topic today is Sunnah foods. Next day is going to be Quran. Next day is going to be etc. So like prayer. Whoever answers, so we give 10 questions. Whoever answers the question first, and they're all based on the Sunnah, Sahih Bukhari and Muslim from Hadith. If you give the Hadith, you get extra 10 points. If you can explain it, you get an extra 20 points. So we do this game. So kalau kita ajar pun, sekarang macam kelas kan di sekolah dia jadi entertainment. It has to be very entertaining because the engagement. You tengok semua sekolah kindergarten penuh. Budak umur bawah 12 semua penuh. Kelas penuh 20 orang. Private ke SMK ke tak apa. Bila you naik remaja 14, 15, budak 17 tahun, dia dalam 10 orang, 5 orang dalam kelas. Maksudnya kalau kita assessment gila-gila assessment, gila-gila exam, orang like macam bosan lah. And then afterwards, because of pandemic, ada banyak ni tuition online. Parents figured out that you don't actually need to go to school. You can just sit there and spend like 300, 400 ringgit a month online and you can learn everything. So I think that going back to the question, the love of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam it should be. We started in Maulid this week. I mean, like 2 weeks ago. But I thought, like, why not continue? Why do I have to stop? Just continue the whole year. And
Right.
through that, it's like gamification, gamifying, gamifying. I don't know, gamifying academics. Yeah.
Right. Values, perhaps. Maybe Mr. Adam, you being the principal of Al-Hamra, you used the very apt word just now, disconnect, right? So that we celebrate Maulid not as a ritual, rather than to emulate and, you know, penghayatan as we call it in Malay. But why does this disconnect happen? Because with all due respect, there are also some of those religious school leavers, the graduates, the products of these religious schools. Whenever they come into the society, they don't hayati, they don't do what they're being taught. So this disconnect is what's being faced by general Muslims at large. So maybe we should begin by explaining why this happens.
Okay, why this happens? Like I said, I mean, I was in other schools before where I made like a syllabus. And because they called me and said, like, hey, this syllabus is so boring. There was people sleeping in class.
Right.
So many in Islamic studies, fiqh, aqidah class, Quran class, they're sleeping. And the teacher is not really paying attention. The teacher just come and read from the book. So I think the syllabus, number one, syllabus. Number two, methodology. Maksudnya syllabus yang kita ada. Kalau kita ada buku-buku Imam Syafi'i pun, okay, buku-buku Imam Syafi'i is great. Syllabus bagus. Tapi kalau cikgu, ini maksudnya Ferrari, tapi driver you ambil yang Grab food, masuk dalam Ferrari, dia tak jalan. Dia just crash.
Yeah.
So you need a Ferrari. Okay, you got the Ferrari. Ferrari is your syllabus, but your driver, you need the F1. You need somebody better than just average Joe.
Yeah.
So methodology saya cakap. Methodology cara sebab ini Asia kan, Asia Selatan.
Yeah.
Dari dulu dari British. Maksudnya masuk dalam kelas, buka buku, cakap sampai mati, cakap sampai tidur. Lecture. Bagi khutbah aje. Setiap kelas bagi khutbah. Orang dengar ke tak dengar, you tengok bila you pergi Jumaat kan, ada orang kiri kanan duduk tidur.
Yeah.
Sebab dia bukan ajar, dia
lecture.
Dia just baca teks. So the methodology kita kena tukar. Kita kena tukar kepada yang less teacher centric.
Okay.
Semua focus spotlight is on the teacher. Everybody just look at him. I'll tell you, I was the principal of the Korean school.
Okay.
They actually come to the class, in your class, and they measure with a stopwatch how many seconds were you speaking compared to the student. So the teacher needs to speak less.
I see.
And the student needs to speak more. But the problem is that the student will never volunteer to speak.
Okay.
So what they did is they make every single class 1,000 questions.
I see.
So that means if I was going to teach fiqh Imam Shafi, I will come in, I will open the book, everyone has the book, and I will just keep asking questions, and I cannot go to the next question until someone
until everything has been answered.
So the whole class is question based, and it's verbal, and it's fast.
Yeah.
If you do not answer the question in 2 minutes, I have to ring the bell. It's like you have to answer it. Soalan keluar dari mulut, jawab kena siap. Because Koreans are very competitive.
Yeah.
So the methodology of teaching in this country, because it's very British based, it's like old school British.
Yeah.
From the 50s, even the language they use, attached, herewith, therefore, all these are old. You don't use this in business English.
Right. So now let's bring the discussion to the context of the society at large, in particular the Ummah, because I think in particular in Malaysia, we started having the proliferation of Islamic understandings in the masjids, women starts wearing scarf in the 70s. And now we are in 2022, way beyond the millennium. but we are still struggling now. First and foremost, do you see that actually society at large, we are moving down the value chain, or are we actually moving upwards while having all the spirit being uplifted since 70s up until now? And now we're having more and more religious schools within the context of nubuah. I mentioned risalah kenabian, by right it should be moving upwards, but people are talking as if that the civilization is going downwards, and people start talking about apocalypse. So how do you see this, and how do you instill that values within the thinking of your students in particular, and perhaps maybe addressing the public at large?
Okay, I mean, this is a kind of a difficult. I mean, it's a difficult question. I think it's because there's such heavy internet and media usage that no matter what happens, if we teach you whatever we teach you at school, we teach you for a few hours, you go home, you're going to open the internet, you're going to see things, you're going to be bombarded 5-6 hours on their TikTok, Instagram, YouTube videos, whatever. There's before TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, it was difficult to get knowledge. I mean, you had to go search for it. You had to go find a guy. You had to go find a sheikh. You had to travel. You had to suffer. But I mean, and that should still be the way, directly from the source. But now, because of the internet, everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion. So it's like okay, what people don't understand is, right, quality of a product. Let's say iPhone 14. It's so good, or if you're an Android user, whatever, Samsung S22. The reason why people buy that premium product is because they know it doesn't hang, it doesn't lag, because there's 0.01% deficiencies, defects in it. Because the people in the factory that make it, they are making it according not to their thinking. They have a standard operating procedure that the circuit has to be here on the conveyor belt. The circuit actually exactly has to be 0.05. Right. This part has to be in this part. This part has to be in this part. Problem is that when you have the internet, for example, hijab. If I say just this word, and I don't want to be controversial or anything, but let's say contoh, hijab. Perkataan hijab pun orang salah faham. Apa saya cakap dulu, salah faham itu lebih baik kepada orang yang tak faham. So bila saya cakap pasal hijab, orang fikir okey, terjemah itu tudung. Sebenarnya tak, hijab itu maksudnya hajaba, maksudnya tutup aurat. Maksudnya ada 14 syarat you kena buat. Maksudnya it shouldn't be that colorful. It shouldn't be where people actually look at it on purpose. Your ears shouldn't be showing. It shouldn't be tight. And then the rest of the body as well. But if you were to go to the Pasar Malam or any shopping mall, you would see 50 different versions of what we understand as hijab. For there'll be a woman wearing the tudung, but she'll be wearing a short sleeves t-shirt. And then when you ask her, hey, you're not in hijab, she'll say, look, I'm wearing this tudung. Well, what are you talking about? And like, but then it comes down to the same thing. There's too many people available on the internet, whatever medium, giving their own opinions about things that they shouldn't be giving their opinions about. Okay, that's their right. That's their freedom, right? But we as a student, we should be taught. That's what we do in the school. As a student, you should be taught that there's all these things out there. How do you filter? How do you filter all this stuff? For example, can we just take any sheikh from anywhere? I mean, I'm not a sheikh, but if I wear the thing, the khimar, I got tasbih, I put juba, everyone will think I'm a sheikh. we ask, we tell our students to question. This is very strange. This is very strange for them. It's like they're shocked. They're very shocked, For example, in other schools, they will tell you, follow your teacher, always obey your teacher, listen to your but no, this is not what I do.
All right.
I ask them, when your teacher tells you something about Islam, ask him for the evidence. and then from that evidence, ask him, is the evidence sahih? And then if he cannot provide it, ask him to give you some from the four imams, preferably Imam Malik or Imam Shafi.
Yeah.
So if someone says drinking from the left hand is okay, it's not haram, it's just a sunnah. I want you to, but okay, fine. Quote from Imam Shafi, prove it to me. If you can't prove it, then I will prove it from my hadith that Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in a hadith, he said that whatever is from the left hand goes to hell. It belongs in hell, and it's a sahih hadith. Another man came and he said, I will not drink from my right hand, I will drink from my left. I will continue. And he said, may your left hand be in hell. If it was in hell, halal things don't go to hell. If you can trace the isnad of the hadith, and then you can go back and say, okay, I don't believe in hadith, fine. Let's go from Imam Shafi. Did Imam Shafi believe that drinking from the left hand it's actually haram? Yes. So what we try to do is, I even ask them to question me. If I tell you something and it's not correct, and they've done this. I've made mistakes once. I think it was a small mistake, and they said, bring me the hadith. And I looked for the hadith, and I was like, wow, actually I can't. So our school is kind of different. I mean, because the methodology is different. For example, if a teacher comes to you, we ask the student, we ask them, ask this teacher, who is your teacher? Who was your teacher? Where are you from? What fiqh do you what do you believe in? What is your aqidah? And now teach me. Teach me something. And then when he teaches something, and then we ask the student to question, to stand up and question. Because the problem with Asian students is dia suka ikut.
Right.
Dia suka ikut tanpa soalan. So saya tengok dalam banyak pondok. Contoh saya pergi SMK, I'm not going to say the name. Agama lah, sekolah agama. Ada orang cikgu cakap, you boleh minta rizki dari Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Maksudnya you boleh buat doa, minta rizki daripada. So ya Nabi, saya nak lebih duit ke apa ke, but this is shirk. You can send him salawat. But you cannot ask from him because he's a man, and the whole purpose of his existence was that he was pointing towards Allah. You ask from Allah. So the difference, right? The difference in this one is mostly that we want the students to use their brain. We don't want them to accept. Suka hati je, macam just ambil, menyerap semua ilmu.
Critical thinking.
Yeah, you need to think critically. You need to think, because I'll tell you what happens. Once they graduate, they will go to all these big universities. And in these big universities in Malaysia, there's groups. There's, for example, the Shia or whatever. And one day, one guy will come to him, and this has already happened, and say, do you know about Ali? Do you know? And then it will come to my house. And then, and then this guy, he doesn't have the capability of critically thinking, looking at something, and saying to himself, why? Show me the proof. Show me the evidence. Did Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam do this? Did Aisha do this? Did Fatima do it? Did Abu Bakr do it? Then why are you doing it? I want to know why you're doing it.
Right. I think, Mr. Adam, if we were to extend this into the science, perhaps maybe within the school environment, it's quite easy for us to control. But when we come to the public, and now I mentioned that we would want to, connect the issue of the Maulid celebration and the upcoming general election. I think when it comes to politics, because it's either you vote me or you vote the other party. It's a black or white. It's a what I call binary thinking. Hitam atau putih. Kalau tak undi saya, maknanya musuh saya. And that boils down into the debate and the polemics in the social media. It becomes either black or white, with me or against me. What's the adab when it comes to your political discord? Because, even the most religious of person in the group is also doing the same thing. This is haram, and what is the adab, if you may advise the general public, Mr. Adam?
I mean, yeah, it's a very this political thing. It's a very difficult topic to talk about in Islamic perspective. But bear in mind, I mean, the situation in Malaysia is very unique. Obviously, everybody knows that it's a constitutional monarchy. The monarchy itself is democratic as well. So it's like a democratic monarchy. But there's also a parliament. But the parliament it's put there. It's like the parliament basically represents the interests of the people, or it's supposed to. The main leader is still the appointed agam. So it's just like I think maybe it's very unique. There's nothing like this. There's nothing like this anywhere in the world. There's no country where you say there's 9 kings, and each king takes 5 turns. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, how can you have 9 kings? They all fight each other. No one will be the main ruler. You know what I mean? But they take turns, 5 years, and then there's the parliament. And parliament basically, like I said, it's made up of people with different races, different colors, different religions. And then how are we as a Muslim supposed to make sense of this? I mean, when, like what you said earlier, when there's this candidate, he says, I think when you said that, it reminded me of George Bush when he said, if you don't vote for me, you're voting for the terrorists.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just like saying that there's no one else. I mean, come on. I mean, everybody made fun of him that day. He was
I'm
like,
the savior. Yeah.
"So is this you?" He's like, "Is this you?" And then everyone else is a terrorist. Come on, man. So it was like, I mean, okay. People in politics who say this stuff, I think we have to judge them based on. For me, if we use the usul, if we use the fiqh from Imam Shafi and everything, don't judge people too much on what they say. Judge them on what they do.
Yeah.
And then you can only see, okay, let me check this guy's past record. MB of whatever place. It's all online. This guy has, let's say, he doesn't support irrigation and water projects in villages. He doesn't. He vetoed the bill.
Yeah.
So you have to go much deeper into everybody. Everybody who says something, just don't believe it.
Right.
Go online, dig deeper, and you see, oh, this guy has a history of so and so. This guy has a history of, for example, vetoing certain bills that do not help B40. This guy has said something several times. How many times had he said it? And then he went back on his word.
Right.
For me, I think if the candidate is Muslim or non-Muslim, I think the same thing applies. Nowadays, people think sebab dia Muslim, dia jujur. We've already seen that that's not true. For me, I think whoever it is, I think maybe forget the party. Look at the person.
Okay.
Look at the person that you're doing, because the person is influenced by the party. And if that person is he's too non-influential, I mean he just keeps getting influenced by other people. Then you should just, I don't know what to say. For me,
right,
if you can't, if there's no, like, you know, in English we say it's either this or that, but does it have to be either this or that? If you're not sure about something, if you go to the car showroom and you say, okay, I'll give this Proton or this Perodua, is that really the choice that I have? Do I not have any choice?
Yeah.
Or maybe the choice is I just keep my car. How about I just don't change? How about I just keep the car I'm driving and I wait for something?
Right.
Either that or I have to be a political candidate myself.
Seems like you're quite familiar with our predicament here in Malaysia. I suppose you're not Malaysian. I didn't ask earlier. Are you Malaysian?
No, I'm British. I was born in England, but I'm also American.
Yeah, but your Malay accent, the way you cakap Melayu tu memang macam Melayu lah. Kita it's not because
I'm good at copying.
Because if you go by the analogy of national car, Proton is no longer a national car. partly
There you go.
owned, majority owned by China, by the way.
There
Nevertheless,
you go.
Mr. Adam, maybe your parting remarks, your advice to general public. I think we are living in a very critical time, and in fact, in Malaysia in particular, we are closing in to the next general election. So it seems like everything is now becoming political and politicized. And right in the middle, you can see the very fine line of racism, policy, economy. Everything is being politicized, which is not healthy to my mind, actually, at least personally. But we begin by discussing about the concept of nubuwah, celebrating the spirit and the perjuangan Nabi SAW. And now we are closing in to the general election. So what would be your advice to all Malaysians?
My advice may be strange, but to me, okay, if you think about it, right, the greatest empire most recently was that's not anymore, the British Empire. The British Empire, they conquered, this country was a colony. Sri Lanka, India, America, Canada, most of South America and Africa as well. They even controlled a large part of China for a long time with opium. Their strategy was conquer by dividing. So all these parties that I see, every few years, they just get more parties. They're just more and more splinter. Whether it's PH became something else, and then UMNO became something else, and it split up into small parts. It's splitting and splitting and splitting, and that's just weakening. Splitting is weakening. And when you go back in time and you see the first state, Medina, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he created that state from agreements between him, the Ansar, the Muhajirin, and also the Jews, the Jewish tribe and the Quraysh tribe. There was agreement, and they all got together. Even when the Persians were attacking, we all get together for a common cause. But now it seems that there is no common cause. No one is coming up with a common cause. Let's beat the economy. Let's boost the economy. Let's do something. Let's get together. There's no togetherness. It's more me and my party. We're the best, and everyone else is not good. So we should get back on that. I mean, all I can say is, I hope these political parties they can come into a union. A union that's logical, that's beneficial for everyone, and that should be the case. It shouldn't be
right.
This is still going on. This is still the game of the Brits. The Brits are still playing the game. They've left 58 years ago, but they're still playing the game. They're playing the game that they left. Before they left, they made sure they put the Nintendo PS5. They put it on the thing and said, "Let these people play the games." And then you have to see. You see, if you stop playing the games, you're not a player anymore. You become the owner. You need to own the game, and you can't own the game if you keep playing it. And it might go over people's head.
Right.
So if you keep playing the game like Ronaldo, he'll always be a player. He will never be Abramovich. Do you know what I mean? Because Abramovich, no matter what happens, if the player loses the match, if the team loses the match, or the team wins the match, they're always going to win. So I think this is a big distraction to me. This whatever is happening and how they speak and how they talk, and it's another game. And I hope I don't know what to say. I think that I think there's in Malay. There's one proverb. Pemimpin apa tu rakyat, pemimpin cermin rakyat.
Okay, pemimpin, pemimpin cerminan rakyat. Or another way of saying it is, you deserve the leader that you choose.
There you go. So maksudnya, kalau I'm not going to say the name. Kalau someone he went to jail or whatever, that means, my God, that means most of us are probably jahat.
We deserve the leader that we choose.
So all I can say is, maybe we should change ourselves, our family, our neighborhood,
right,
our town, our dairah, and it goes from there.
Yeah. Now, even Mr. Adam, even the Brits now is suffering due to their own value system and legacy. Liz Truss is the shortest serving prime minister in history, only for 44 weeks. There you go.
Wow, yes, Liz
Yeah.
Truss. I mean, I saw that coming. Yeah, I was like, because the stuff it's like the stuff she says when she went to Russia, the stuff that was, the Russians were laughing at her.
Right.
She is on, I don't know what planet she's on. That
will be our next topic, Mr. Adam. If you join us next time, that will be our next topic. I can see that the principle of Al-Hamra can also talk about international politics vis-a-vis the latest development in Ukraine and Russia. So, Mr. Adam, thank you very much for joining us. Terima kasih kerana bersama kami. Dan saya kira perbincangan yang sangat bermakna. Khususnya, we've been on air for the last 40 minutes or so. It is I would like to advise my producer to put a soundbite capture from minutes 32 onwards when you start talking about politics, so that we can redistribute that clips. Your advice. So thank you very much, Mr. Adam. Terima kasih kerana bersama kami dalam Inspirasi ViU. Kalau ada kesempatannya, nanti kami ingin hadir ke sana untuk kita rakam Al-Hamra, sekolahnya, programnya, pendidikannya, pelajarnya, and especially interviewing that one boy against 8 girls. maybe I don't know, just maybe, if the principal allows. Again,
he will do it.
Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Jumpa lagi insyaAllah, dan terima kasih kepada semua yang menonton. Assalamualaikum dan salam.
Waalaikumsalam.